Good evening, Mrs. Rittenauer. This is my very last presentation for you, and so it is bittersweet because I worked extremely hard on these lesson plans. I am going to actually do lesson plan number 5, which will be the culmination of my entire unit. It's my favorite lesson. I saved it for the end of the unit. I also think it's my most diverse. When I was doing some just kind of like surveying a class, it was a 5th grade class in the Harrisburg School District. Those kids changed me forever. And I still think about them every time I make up a like a lesson plan. And so this is for my Harrisburg 5th grade Mrs. Hatcher's class. So my chosen framework, so for 6C, is ruler, right? And I fell in love with this. At my kids' school, they do the 7 habits, but I chose ruler just because I just really love the book. Like, I just really love the book that we were reading as a class, and it just really spoke to me. So you're going to see those learning goals within my lesson plan. This is entitled A Class Wrap, and I love it for 2nd and 3rd grade, but I would really love to do it for like a 4th or 5th grade class because I think that the older you get, the better that the wrap is going to get. I don't know. So anyway, your standards, I don't want to just read these off to you. However, I want to take notice as well that I didn't put it up here, but we've got like some social studies in here. So many things are happening in this lesson plan. I think that's why it's definitely my best. Let's come down here. So our learning goals: responsible decision making, self-management, social awareness. And as it says here, they're going to learn about ethics, which is something that a lot of kids, especially in the inner city, they don't know a lot about. And so you'll have parents who are dropping their kids off from school and shouting out the window, make sure you get so and so because their mama disrespected me the other day. And like, these kids just, they don't know because they weren't taught, and it's up to us to teach them. So they're going to learn about ethics, social norms. That's not okay to do outside of your home. Like, this is not how we solve problems. And then you've got the self-management aspect of it. Okay, so students are going to learn to regulate those emotions. Just because you're angry at somebody doesn't mean you can lash out. And then managing stress, but this is a big one: being self-motivated. Why shouldn't I sit inside and play video games all day? Why shouldn't I do that? Well, because the world is very large, my friend, and you are making it very small by staying inside. Also, being self-motivated and using organizational skills to reach goals. And I'll talk more a little bit about that. And then your social awareness. We've got some diversity going on in here. It's going to be really great if you've got kids from all over the place in your class. But again, I was thinking about my Harrisburg kids, and there was one white girl in that entire class, and she was actually adopted by a Black family. So I still get chills when I think about how awesome that class was. So we're going to talk about diversity in music and then diversity in individuals. And you can see that my disciplines, language and literacy, right? So we're going to be talking about rhyme scheme, poetry in motion, all these great things. Using language, it's a rap. Is it going to rhyme? Is it not going to rhyme? I feel like if you would do this lesson in one of the very first weeks of school, you can take this rap that they're going to make and you can use it in so many different ways. So it's not created like in this bubble. There's so much more you can do with it. I'll talk about that in a little bit too. The arts, we've got music, rap is music. Social studies, Jamaica and the Bronx, and how different that they actually are. I just wanted to I have some things to share here. It might be a great idea to show your class exactly how far apart the two of them are. And so here's New York. Here's where obviously he ended up in the Bronx. And that's a pretty long flight. You can also go into climate. what is the climate like? We're down closer to the equator, than, to what is in New York, which is pretty much, the four seasons that we see here. So that would be a perfect time to bring in some social studies stuff. And then talk about, this is Jamaica. When I was in Kingston, this is what I remember. I think I was here actually. Um, because I wasn't like on a tour or anything like that. I was just staying with a family who lived down there. And look at this. Oh my word. It's lush. It's gorgeous. Everything is built on these hills. This is obviously affluent, but let's talk about how we see some palm trees over here, some definitely lush flora and fauna. And then you guys, look at this. Look at that ocean right there. I mean, it is just amazing. This is not everywhere. Obviously, there are some parts that don't look like this, but you can just tell that the climate is different as compared to the Bronx in the 1970s. So here's a lot about social studies. We can talk about the hip hop movement. This is awesome. Look, this guy's on he's on roller skates. It's just a completely different, but yet oddly the same as what you had in Kingston. So let's compare and contrast so many different things. Also, we're thinking about creative movement. You can't rap without moving. You just can't. And so we're using our bodies in that way. And then dance, break dancing, beat boys, flowing, just so many things that you can talk about as far as dance that has to do with history. So looking back now, I really should have put some more content areas there, because there really is so much to learn in this book. You could make this into many, many units. So the students are going to use their knowledge of ruler, which we have already learned in this week, and emotional learning, to create a class rap to use as a class creed. And I did this for a few reasons. I want to go in order, though, of the rubric. So this is going to jump around just a little bit. The book I chose was When the Beat Was Born, DJ Kool Herc and the Creation of Hip Hop. It's important to remember that not everybody is from Lancaster County, Pennsylvania. Definitely not. And you are going to have a melting pot in your classroom. Um, the diversity that we see, and again, this is just going back to 4C, the diversity in colors, the diversity in music. Um, and I did go with Common Sense Media, and they actually gave this book very high scores. And someone said this is back when hip hop was fun. And so we learn about DJ Kool Herc, and we learn about how he came from Kingston to the Bronx and how different that was, but how great he was at just reading the room and figuring out what everybody needed. It says in the book, and I would bring this up. I don't have the book here in front of me. I do own it, but it was a little hard to do that and then show all these graphics. Um, he was great at reading the room, and one of the things that he did was to stop the music, to break a break in the music, and then shout out some of his friends' names. So he's including everybody, because they love to hear their name incorporated in the beats, right? And so he worked with his sister. He was able to work with these new surroundings as he did immigrate from, Kingston. He kind of got into the flow of things, and he was able to collaborate with his sister. There's even a portion in the book where he becomes a disc jockey and he uses his turntables and everything like that, but he can't get the speakers that his dad bought to work. And so he spends like the better part of a week, and he doesn't give up, and he learns to use these speakers and how to hook them up to his turntable. He's also an inspiration to a lot of the men who created hip hop, like Grandmaster Flash. I mean, Jazzy Jeff, like, I don't know, you could do so much with this book because he is such a good role model, and he's kept his act pretty clean over the years. I think it's really important to see people of color as positive role models. And in the social studies class that I took, she's like, don't just go with like MLK Jr. Don't just go with Rosa Parks. Like there are so many people of color who have made history. DJ Kool Herc being one of them. Also, I think this is going to inspire kids to do their own research because they're going to go home and they're going to ask their parents, hey, do you know who DJ Kool Herc was? Even their grandparents. I mean, let's be honest. Grandparents, because the parents are our age, and obviously DJ Kool Herc was famous in the 70s. And then hopefully as a teacher, you might gain some credibility with these parents. I really enjoy this book because the I don't know, like the pictures are sort of kitschy, and they really do
I've
show,
loved the way
here's
sound
whoops,
dumped and bumped.
sorry, I knew that was going to happen. And so the pictures are really simplistic. You can see that some of the perspective is off and things like that. But how about talking about a turntable? What is this thing in the living room right beside the sofa? I would love to bring in a record and a turntable, which I actually have, and then be able to show the kids some things like that. So that's why I think this book is fantastic as far as diversity is concerned, things like that. Let's go back to this one. Okay. So the reason why I chose this for the class creed or motto is because, like, my son has a class creed and he it's boring and it's very forgettable, and I know that after this year he's never going to say it again. And when he does say it, it's like, we are leaders, we are, and he just doesn't really get excited about it. And I'm thinking to myself, what if in the morning you heard a whole class just like beatboxing, rapping? Hey, is it my turn to lead the motto this morning? Let's do boys versus girls. Let's get a girl group up there. What a way to start the day. And you can even, because this ruler is talking about letting everybody come together and make something. And I'm saying, what if we go through what it means to be a good role model and we talk about the story of Kool Herc being the best people that you can be, um, and then pair up, triple up, and come up with a rap that we can use as a class creator or motto. Let's make it into a contest. And let's learn about DJ Kool Herc and then apply it right away. And I just have to say, this can go on, like I said, forever. Let's talk about the rhyme scheme in your rap. Let's talk about what rhymes with, feelings, ceilings. What rhymes with, just the sky is the limit when it comes to coming up with this rap. You may even want to combine them. They can be as small as maybe 4 lines and maybe as long as like 6 or 8, just depending on how kids are feeling. If you are familiar with GarageBand, which I am, you can actually make a pretty decent recording of this. Again, here's kids working together. You can make a music video of this. The kids can put together a dance at recess. And so instead of maybe picking on each other or doing whatever, we have this like Sister Act 2 moment where everybody comes in and like creates the dances, and you learn the dance as a teacher, and then you get a little bit more credibility with your students. And I get really, really excited about that. I really do. Um, as closure, the groups will perform a class rap. The class will vote on which one describes their vision for the classroom environment. And I like this because it's a straightforward lesson. And if you have some kids that are, say, nonverbal, they can still clap, right? You might learn that you have a nonverbal kid who is an amazing beatboxer. And so I think that it would be pretty easy to simplify this lesson for exceptional learners. And because speaking and singing are two different parts of the brain, you might be actually pretty impressed with what some of your exceptional learners can come up with, no matter where they are. Okay, so here's one thing that I really want to talk about. I think I touched on the rubric, but I do want to come back here. This motivation is going to be the most important part of your lesson because it is the culmination of all the weeks put into one. And so the motivation part of this procedure, kids need to recognize that what you put in, you get out. So I say here, if you put 10 cents in a machine and something's not working, you press the coin return, how many cents will you get back? Well, 10, right? And this is true in life. You can't go outside and plant Cheerios and expect to get corn. Like, this is not how life works. Um, what you put into it, you're going to see. If you do not study for an exam, you will not get a good grade, or you get a good grade because you guessed, and none of that information is going to stay in your brain. Same thing in life. What you put into it is what you're going to see come out of it. And so you just take a clear container with water, and it's important that you fill this container with good, clean drinking water, and then you need to take a sip of it. So it's potable, it's pure, it can be used for a number of things. However, and you need to put like usually red food coloring, which does not destroy the water, but it does make it look odd. But you can still drink it. I don't know if you want to. It's still water, but it's just a different color. It looks different, but it's still useful. The food coloring only changed the color. And you can link that to like our character, doing nice things for somebody. People will know you because they can see you right up front. If you have a smile on your face, they know that you're in a good mood, frown, bad mood. You can go through your mood meter with that. However, and then you're going to add a spoonful of sugar. So you didn't ruin the water. Um, and maybe you could still drink it, or you can make candy out of it, like rock candy if you had some time, or you could make some candy if you put some heat to it. But the water's not going to be the same again. I'm not going to be able to get the sugar out of that water. Did it make it worse? Well, not really, but it's a little less useful to me if I'm super thirsty. And then that's when you're going to add some salt. So people are going to go, ew. Like the kids, you need to get that reaction from them. What I put into the water is what I'm going to get out of it. So add the salt. And then you need to say, is this water still safe to drink? Well, yeah, like it's going to taste gross, but it's nothing that's going to poison you or hurt you. And that's when you put in the oatmeal and things start to get sort of gross looking. Ask again, is this water still good to drink? It looks nasty, but everything in it is still edible. Okay, so we can still use it. We can maybe water a plant with it. I'm not sure it'll probably kill the plant, but everything in it is still, it's not going to hurt you. It's just going to taste gross. But then here's the clincher. Finally, dump in the rocks. So you can use rocks, you can use dirt, you can use something else. One time I did this, I put in like dirty fly paper, like a fly thing. That was really gross. It was with high schoolers. But there goes the water. So I put all these things into it, and every time I just kept getting a little bit more gross and a little less useful. And now I have to dump it out because there's nothing you can do with it. It would kill a plant. It would really not be good for your system to have dirt in your system. And the thing is, then you need to keep this concoction on the table so that kids can see it. Here's your prior knowledge, and here's where it gets into the thick of this lesson. Is there any way to get this water clean again? And so the kids need to just be like, well, you can put it through like a pure filter or Brita filter or whatever. Um, and, but no, it's really not going to ever be the same as it was again, because even a water filter is not really going to take out that initial color. Um, and so have a time of discussion. What other things can you think of that we maybe would put time into but never see a return? So a plant that you planted and watered, but essentially it died because something ate it. You gave someone something that was important to you, a nice birthday gift or something, but you never heard back. You never got a thank you. You worked on this really beautiful piece of art, and then your brother came in and spilled water on it, and all that work was for nothing. Video game played, then the batteries died, or mom told you to turn it off. Does anyone have anything to say about this idea of what you put in is what you get out, and how can we apply that in terms of our class and school? And so I essentially want the kids to come up with the fact that if I come in here and I am in the red every single day, it's going to reflect on all my classmates. Um, it's going to change the atmosphere in here. I'm not saying you have to be happy every day, but let's learn ways to take care of our emotions. And then let's hold ourselves accountable. And we're going to do that by making this class wrap. What we put in our brain is eventually what's going to come out. If you put disgusting stuff and music with foul language and anger and frustration into your brain and listen to things that are inappropriate and watch things that are inappropriate, you're going to come in here and you're going to get in trouble because you're going to be inappropriate. And so this is a place where we can really alter it as far as um, second graders, third graders, fifth graders are obviously, especially if you're talking to inner city kids. Oh my goodness, I swear they're too many years beyond their age. But this is real life. This is really what's happening. So we're gonna listen to the book, read the book on DJ Kool Herc. I have some vocab, especially for our friends who might not be into hip hop. It's talking about the differences between the two places, the Bronx, New York City, what a culture shock that would be. So, like, culture shock would actually be one of the things that you would want to talk about. Records, show a picture, bring one in. If you have a turntable, bring one in. DJ is a disc jockey. Do people know that? One thing that I will say is that the book talks about gangs by name. If that is too much for your class, just plan on omitting them and replace them with just focusing on how Kool Herc advocated for peace. And so he was creating these house parties, which is also should be up here. House projects, the projects, apartments, things like that. And you can always bring in pictures of that stuff. And it could be that many of the kids actually already have an understanding of that, depending on where their upbringing is from. Talk about DJ Kool Herc. Does anybody remember how he got his name? What did he do when he couldn't get his father's sound system to work? Did he give up? No, he fixed it. In the story, he and his sister decided to hold a huge party. What are some of the steps that they took to plan and prepare? And in the book, it says that they went and they made this really cool invitation. They had saved up their money so that they could have things printed out. They've really, really worked together as a team. What do you think that DJ Kool Herc was a good role model? What sort of things make you think that? Self-motivation, talk about that. And also talk about what can happen when people don't hang out with good role models. And does anybody have any examples of this? That's going to be a hard conversation. In walks diversity. In walks some truth telling. Oh, I had a brother who got in with the wrong crowd, and oh, my dad is in jail. You might hear some of these things. You might also hear, like, hey, my brother got into a cool, like, thing at the Y, and now that's what he does in the afternoons, and they're actually gonna be, you know, jumping rope or something amazing, or hey, they're going to be in a parade because he's in like a drumming band now. So there's so many places that you can take this book. I love it. Some more discussions, and then of course, like I said, everybody will perform their class rap. This is a great time for you to video. Is that what you call it? If you do it on your phone, like record your class doing these things, put it together in a little like iMovie or something and send it to the parents. They're gonna love this. They really, really are. So my last thing here, which I mean, it's special for the class, but it's really a culmination. It's just this idea of the exit ticket. Um, Name one emotion you never heard of before this week. So maybe maybe somebody didn't know that being fearful is an emotion, something like that. Then what does ruler stand for? When is the best time for a meta moment? In the moment. Okay, so a blueprint is for after, but a meta moment is like, hey, something big is happening to me now, and I need to take a moment. What was your favorite body regulation technique? Squeezing your arms, maybe pushing your hands together, deep breaths from another lesson. And then at the bottom, you're going to vote for your favorite class wrap. So, yeah, that is my lesson. It's my favorite one. And again, I've really, really enjoyed this whole lesson, the whole lesson plan, and I really put my all into it. So I hope that it's something that I can use in the future. Thank you.